Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie, Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio, told like it is. Hello, hello, hello. The intro was echoing, Richard. I'm Frank Crivello. This is Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing this lovely evening?
Doing good. Get to talk about, a recap of, we got to recap 13 games. Can you believe this?
Yeah, every day was a game. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we had 5 days of Calcio. Everybody, enjoyed it. If you're coming in on the chat, drop your questions there. Be happy to answer them. Be happy to talk about anything that went on with the games with you. So feel free to drop anything there. And then I'll have some questions as we go, as we recap these games. I've got a couple in mind, so we'll take care of that. But before we get into all of it, first of all, hats off to Napoli, winners of the Coppa Italia, doing it on penalties, 4-2. Arkadiusz Milik's penalty sealing the deal. Just happy for them, happy for their fan base, happy for Rino Gattuso. With everything him going through the passing of his sister. Very excited for Napoli. A well-deserved trophy. They had been really trending upwards prior to the break under Rino, and now they have a trophy to show for it.
Yeah, they continue on in their fine form. They look very good in both games, really. They did what they had to do to win. They maybe eked it out against Inter, giving up away a little bit too much possession, but in that Juventus matchup, they did what they had to do, and there was no Spina. There was Merit, but he came up big. Yeah,
I mean, that was good. I mean, the goalkeeping and the defending for Napoli, all of a sudden, we'll get into that as it relates to their game that they had today, has gotten so much better. Got to give credit to Buffon for keeping Juve in it, because Napoli had some very good chances to win this in 90 minutes. The old man turned up and did really well. So I should point out, I've been on this local beer thing here while we're doing the recording. So today it is Louis Demise from MKE Brewing Company. Again, I'm trying to keep my beer drinking local, trying to support the local breweries during this time. This one's one of my favorites. You're on the black coffee again, huh?
On the coffee.
Okay. Gotta one of these times just drop a little bit of Jameson or something in there. Just
Bailey's or something. Yeah.
Yeah, just to give you a little kick. There you go, a little Irish coffee.
That's right.
Nothing wrong with that. So
I'm gonna be due for that, because I'm down like 13 points now since like the whole quarantine break. So if I need to add more calories in here.
There you go. I've gained a couple back. I'm kind of holding steady at the weight that I'm at right now. I'd like to drop a little bit more, but I would have to give up this, and I enjoy this too much. Good evening, Sabrina. Good to see you again. Sabrina. So check in with us. If you're watching us, please drop a chat so we know who you are. Like and subscribe. Say nice things about us. We always like that. So, Richard, let's get into these games. I don't think there's anything else we can do but try to get into these games, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had 5 days of Calcio, and I'm going to batch the Saturday and Sunday games that took place. It all kicked off with Torino hosting Parma. That ended 1-1. For Torino, it was Nicolas Nkolu. Nice little headed goal on a set piece from Alex Berenguer. And then Juraj Kuchka, he just likes to show up and score goals here when we least expect it. He
just like a fine wine, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't know about that.
A fine Croatian wine.
Do bulls in China shops age like fine wine? That's the question. And is he Croatian? I thought he was Slovenian.
Yes, you're right. You are right, and I apologize. Yeah. You're right. My good buddy's a Slovenian. He would kill me if you heard this.
Well, tell me where I could find him so I can send him the link.
No chance.
No chance. Okay. Of note, Sepe picking up right where he left off with his fine goalkeeping this season. 7 saves, including one on an Andrea Belotti penalty. So 1-1 honors even there. Hellas Verona at home against Cagliari. This game had goals. This game had men behaving badly. The goals for Verona, Di Carmine getting both of them in the 14th and 26th minute. The 26th minute goal, a goal of the week candidate. Giovanni Simeone getting Cagliari within 2-1 just a couple minutes before halftime. This was after Fabio Barini was given a straight red for his challenge that was VAR reviewed and then deemed to be a red. Were you okay with that?
Yeah, I was okay with that. There was a lot of calls. Yeah, I mean, there's some calls are harsher than others, I thought, but I was okay with it.
Yep. And Luca Cigarini getting a second yellow for Cagliari later on in that game to get red. So this game ended in a 10v10 between these two sides. And then on Sunday, Atalanta and Sassuolo. We said there would be goals in this game if you watched and listened to us last week, and it was, again, Atalanta doing Atalanta things.
Yeah.
Oh, they were nasty. 4-1 against Sassuolo. Jim City opened the scoring in the 16th minute. They thought they had the 2-0 lead through Papu Gomez. Unfortunately, he was offside. They got that correct on the review. Duvan Zapata would make it 2-0 in the 31st minute. Barabia for Sassuolo, putting one in his own net. Note to Barabia, Atalanta doesn't need your help. 3-0 there, and that's what the score was at halftime. Zapata would head in a goal on a set piece in the 66th minute to make it 4-0. But Barabia sparing his blushes with a really nice free kick goal in the 92nd minute to give Sassuolo a goal out of this game. So 4-1, that ended. And then the weekend wrapped up with Inter beating Sampdoria by 2-1. Romelu Lukaku, a goal of the week candidate. Beautiful combination between him and Christian Eriksen to put the Nerazzurri up by a 0-0. It would be Lautaro Martinez doubling for Inter in the 33rd minute. That made it 2-0. Morton Thorsby in the 52nd. For Sampdoria to make it a little bit interesting, but Inter on 72% possession in this game, clear what Sampdoria was trying to do and didn't quite carry it out. I think the real story from these four games to start with, Richard, and we'll obviously dive into them a little bit later as well, but good old Atalanta.
Yeah, good old Atalanta. Yeah, man, they put on a goal clinic again. I mean, every time they play, they put on a goal clinic. They picked up where they left off. They are probably by far the best looking team coming out of the break. Another team we're going to talk about here in a minute can say something about that. But this is Atalanta's like by far the best. I mean, it's just goal after goal. They got the goal from Papu Gomez taken away. They come back, not too long after that, score again. Scored two more after that. I mean, Zapata's looking good. Papu Gomez. Ilicic has been a little injured lately, and that doesn't matter. I mean, they got Gosens, they got Hateboer, they got Melanovsky, they got so on and so forth. And now they got Champions League money. So for once, maybe they're not going to be sellers and they can keep all these guys and build. Man, it's a scary team. Scary. Obviously,
Zapata terrific in this game with 2 goals.
Yeah.
Papu Gomez pulling the strings for them. Outstanding, but a little love to the back three. I thought they were good in really neutralizing. I mean, Sassuolo didn't get much in open play, and their attack is no slouch. We'll talk about them a little bit later as well.
Yeah.
They had the full complement of Jeremy Boga, Francesco Caputo, and Domenico Berardi. They also had Gregoire Defrel in the mix.
Yeah.
So they were pretty aggressive with their intentions in this game, and Atalanta still brushed them aside, and it was a solid performance from their back three. A solid performance as well from Pierluigi Gollini, who had 4 saves in this game. So Atalanta getting off to the right start. The other things that I kind of take from these 4 games, Richard, obviously Inter getting the win. I mean, they're going to find ways to get 3 points. It's a Sampdoria team that you're seeing play better under Claudio Ranieri, but Inter's just better. And that's really what unfolded in that game.
Absolutely.
Hellas Verona, it's welcome to playing Hellas Verona, and it's Cagliari away. And we talked about this before last. When we previewed these games, we said Cagliari away is certainly something you bet against, and we thought Hellas Verona would win this game. They did. They do it in their way. They're not the most pleasing team to watch, but they get resourceful. They find a way to score goals. They've got talent. I mean, they've got a lot of talent, and a lot of these guys could potentially get plucked away. When you're talking about Kumbula in the back, you're talking about Sofian Amrabat, who is terrific in this game again. In midfield. You had Di Carmine scoring twice.
They took on 5 guys to set up Di Carmine. So, I mean,
indeed.
Wow. I mean, the team's got talent. They do. They do. You wouldn't think that coming from a new promoted team, but they were put together very well.
Yep, absolutely. I just quick peeking at this lineup again. Yeah, and you have Faraoni bombing down the right. You had Lazovic bombing down the left. It's an interesting system. They still try to play to keep you out, but when they go forward, they're dangerous enough, and they proved that here against Cagliari, and got the job done. And then Torino getting a 1-1 draw with Parma. Two sides that. In the case of Parma, they're still fighting for a Europa League place. A Torino team that really took a slide under Walter Mazzarri. Definitely, I think that this is, Torino earning this point was very important for them. Parma, this is one they had to look at when you got to look at Torino's form. And I know we have no sample of form after a 3-month break.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen if Parma's really going to be a serious threat for Europa League football, they needed to come out of the blocks and get 3 out of this one, and they didn't.
Yeah, it was. We both thought that Parma could get a result out of this matchup, but yeah, Torino played very well. This is one of the better defensive performances Torino's had probably all season. Honestly, they haven't played well at all, but in this game they did well. They did what they had to get the point. Really, Parma really blew an opportunity here. If they really wanted to, like you said, get to those European spots, they really had to get the 3 points here, and they didn't. And I think it's probably right where they should be because they're just outside. They need a little bit more, I think, and this game showed it.
Mm-hmm. So off the bat, nothing terribly alarming that happened here in these Saturday, Sunday games. Nothing that made you really raise your eyebrows. Atalanta dominating, Inter winning and getting 3 points against an inferior opponent. Hellas Verona winning at home against Cagliari, who's not so good away on. We'll talk about their other game here momentarily where they did win away. Torino and Parma is probably about appropriate as what you were going to see for a result. So,
yeah.
Any 4 good games here. Let's move on. We're whipping right through this. Monday, Tuesday, we had 7 games. So we're probably going to talk about these a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, let me get into it. And I need some music in the background here. So just to get me in the mood, right? First, starting off, we had Fiorentina and Brescia. Goal scoring started early with a penalty for Donnarumma, 1-0 for Brescia. But 10 minutes later, Pezzala would get a header to equalize at 1-1. Those goals were the last of it. A lot of interesting action throughout the game, but the game ended 1-1. Moving on to Lecce and Milan, we thought this game would be a difficult one. And it started out difficult. Castillejo got a nice goal off a powerful assist through Çalhanoğlu. But in the 54th minute, Lecce would get a penalty. Mancosu he's brilliant at these things, and he scored in this one against Donnarumma, left him just flat-footed. 1-1 at that point, and you thought maybe this is going to be the game that we thought it was going to be. But 2 minutes later, Bonaventura gets a goal off a Çalhanoğlu shot that goalkeeper could not handle whatsoever. Gabriel had a good game, but could not handle this shot. Bonaventura gets the rebound, 2-1. And then Milan really took on fire. Rebic with a breakaway from midfield made it 3-1 at that point. And then Rafael Leao off an assist from Conti made it 4-1. This is Milan's best performance maybe of the season to this point. So they went 4-1 on the road. Moving on, Juventus on the road at Bologna. We thought this is going to be a difficult game. Scoreline-wise, it was close. Scoring started in the 24th minute. Ronaldo with a penalty. He scored this time. He didn't miss. And then in the 36th minute, Paulo Dybala with one of the goals of the week candidates there off a left-footed shot. Brilliant shot. Juve did enough. They were pretty dangerous in this game. They looked classic Juve. Did what they had to do, and they win 2-0. Moving on, Hellas Verona. We just talked about how well they played in the previous over the weekend. They played Napoli, another team who has been playing well. We wondered if this was going to be a close game. I thought for sure maybe 1-1 was written all over this. Scoring started early in the 38th. Arkadiusz Milik gets the goal, gives them a lead going into halftime. And then Irving Lozano, the man who's been in trouble with Gattuso, he would score in the 60th minute with a header of all things. 2-0 Napoli with an impressive victory against a good Hellas Verona team. They strengthened their not only their Europa League push, but possibly Champions League. Atalanta will probably have something to say with that. Going on, 2 bottom feeders really, Spal and Cagliari. This game had 1 goal in it, and it came very, very late. Simeone gets a goal in the 94th, 93rd minute. Cagliari gets the points on the road. Difficult place. We didn't think Cagliari would be able to get points on the road. They did. Good for them because they're usually a shithouse of a team on the road. But hey, they did it. They got it done. Now the reason for the music is Parma on the road at Genoa. They did not perform well on the weekend, but Parma, they came to play in this, and boy, did they. Scoring started in the 18th minute by, of course, listen to the music, Don Cornelius. He gets a goal, 1-0 Parma. Just 30 minutes later, Don Cornelius does it again, 2-0 just at halftime. Cornelius on fire. Many wondered if he would get the tripleta in this game. He certainly would in the 54th minute. Cornelius again completes his hat trick, completes his tripleta, 3-0 at that point. Iago Falque would get a penalty. I should mention Crescito had a penalty attempt early in the game. Sepe, another wonderful save. This guy's got 2 saves in a row now, with Belotti on the weekend and now with Crescito. But Iago Falque would come up on the second penalty. Both I thought were legit. And he scored the goal, made it 3-1, made it a little interesting. But, man, that new Juventus man, Kulaszewski, in the 67th minute or 87th minute, excuse me, wonderful left-footed shot. He was man of the match. Well, Cornelius is man of the match. But Kulaszewski did not stop running all game long. I mean, I think it was Nemo or somebody said that this guy just has that, like, Energizer Bunny. He just keeps running nonstop, doesn't get tired. And then rounding out my batch of games, Torino and Udinese. We thought this would be tight. It was. Belotti had a wonderfully powerful shot, short side. Nothing Musso could do about that. That would be the only goal of that game. But that game ended 1-0. Torino gets another win on the road. So that's my batch of games, Frank. I mean, I've got all these games. Obviously, you want to talk about Napoli, but let's start off with the Soul Train here. Mr. Don Cornelius, 3 goals. Man continues to be on fire.
And he assisted Kulaszewski's goal too.
He did.
So terrific performance from him. This was much better from Parma, taking advantage. I mean, this is a Genoa team that's just, I mean, they're 17th on goal difference, but they have the same points as Lecce. I mean, they're just struggling mightily. And when you look at the team that they send out there, I mean, you're running out 75-year-old Goran Pandev to play up front. Crescito can give you something. You know, Favilli's a good strike. Got the potential to be a good striker. You know, I don't know if Juventus still owns him. I think they ended up selling him to Genoa, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, look at this back three of Christian Romero, Adama Sumaoro.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrea Masiello. And these aren't guys that scare you. These aren't guys that can hold it together. And you've got a solid midfielder there in Stefano Stirado. You've got Lasse Schöne. So you got some pieces, but I mean, they're slightly above average pieces, and then the rest of it's crap.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's just where it's at right now for Genoa, and if they can survive this thing, they better do some retooling before next season kicks off. Now, this Parma team was magnificent, as you said. That's correct. They had 7 shots on target, so this could have been worse. They did better with their chances. It's a good team. It's a dynamic team, and you've got veteran players like Gervinho. Darmian didn't play in this game, but Jasmin Kurtic has been around the block. Bruno Alves, obviously. You got Sepe in goal, who's having an outstanding season. If it weren't for if you didn't have guys like Handanovic, if you didn't have guys like, Strakosha, Gianluigi Donnarumma, we'd be talking about Luigi Sepe a heck of a lot more. So, because he has come through. He has had games. How many games has he had this season where he has made at least 5 saves, with a couple of them being very, very key?
Yeah.
So, his performances have been outstanding. So, Cornelius is, really scratching the surface with what Parma did in this game.
He certainly is, and he's not your typical. When you see a big guy like him, he's 6'4", 6'5". You think he's just going to hold the ball up and that's it. But he's athletic. He can make the runs. He's got the obviously touch and the skill to. And Matteo Bonetti, brought this up during the telecast. He can do lots of things. He had a sensational volley attempt before he scored the first goal, and it was a good save by the keeper. But yeah, he can do a lot, and he's not a one-trick pony by any stretch. And in this game, those are just, like you said, just scratching the surface. This guy can do so much, and if he can, he was he was extra, I guess, a surplus to requirements at Atalanta. They obviously have a boatload of talent, but hooking up with Kulusevski and Gervinho, this is a nice front three here. Two guys that nobody can keep up with on the wings, and then Don Cornelius in the middle, just cleaning up house. So good team. This Parma team's really fun to watch. I thought maybe there would be like a dentist chair very similar to Verona, but with this front three, they're anything but.
Yeah, and they all bring different dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very functional front three that Parma have. You have Gervinho, veteran player that has very good pace, can pick out a pass, can score goals. I mean, he does a lot of things well still this deep into his career. You have Kulusevski, who is tireless, is creative, can create some space for himself with the ball, can take people on, can find the pass. That's an area of his game that seems to be getting better. And then you've got Cornelius, who's the target, who can hold it, who can get these guys played in a little bit, and then he can finish it on the other end.
Yeah.
Very dynamic with how they approach things. And, it's a solid three-man midfield behind him. Brugman's a good player. We didn't know a lot about him at the beginning of the season, but he's come in for a few games here, and he's done pretty well. Hernani's got experience. So it's a Parma team that can, disappointing against Torino, but getting it back here against Genoa. And if we take a look at, they're a contender right now for Europa League. They're even on points with Milan. Big one on Sunday for them, hosting Inter.
Yeah.
And then at Verona, and then hosting Parma, at Roma, hosting Bologna. I mean, it's a run-in that's you don't want it. When you look at it, there's not a whole lot of relief for them.
No.
But on their day, they're capable of putting together some results. So it would not surprise me if they found themselves in a Europa League, if they worked their way up to a Europa League place. Yeah. I think the reason why they're going to be frozen out, two reasons. I looked at the fixtures for them, and the run-in looks difficult, for starters. Secondly, on the strength of how Napoli are playing, and what we probably are going to expect from Roma, I think it's just going to be too hard for them.
Yeah, I do too. And the way the teams that are in front of them are playing well enough, if not really well, that that's going to be hard for them. But you never know. I mean, there's plenty of games left. What is it, like a third of the season left, a quarter of the season left? So anything can really happen. But chances are, the teams that are in front of them, they're doing well enough, and they're they've now got a game or two under their belt after the break, and now they can trying to get back into the flow of things. So it's going to be hard. They're going to have to get some results and hope for some people to make mistakes. They didn't do themselves any favors by drawing Torino over the weekend.
No, they didn't. That was 2 points that they probably, because they'd be sitting in seventh on 41 points.
Yeah.
So, Robin Olsen saved one off his face.
Intentionally?
Yeah. Oh, I don't think intentionally. Weird game, that Spal Cagliari game. I don't know how Spal comes out of there not winning that.
Yeah.
Because they generated some chances. Petagna had a great chance that he put over the bar.
Yeah.
I watched a fair amount of this game. It was pretty chippy, and the possession was even. Okay. Cagliari edged them on shots and shots on target, but I thought Spal had some quality chances. And I thought their chances were better than Cagliari's. So,
and it seems like in football, when you have plenty of opportunities and you do not finish them off, the other team's going to do it. And Simeone at the end nipped it for Cagliari, and that's unfortunately how the season's gone for Spal, and that's the reason why they are where they are in the standings, because of games like this that they let slip away, where they probably should have got a 3 points out of.
Are there two managers that when you talk about managers who have underachieved in their career, and this game was like the derby of managers who have underachieved in their career. Spal with Luigi Di Biagio.
Yeah.
Spal might have confirmed their relegation by hiring him.
Yeah. You mentioned that when they hired him.
Cagliari with Walter Zenga. And Zenga, I might be being a little bit harsh on because I think he's taken on some pretty difficult jobs. But when you look at it, is he really that much better than Rolando Moran? I think Calcio were just struggling under Moran. They had to do something. But you come back with Walter Zenga with the players that you have at your disposal. It's a weird fit for me. They find a way to snatch the 3 points here at the end. It was just one of those games. It was a smash and grab for Cagliari, but it was one that Spal should have gotten something out of.
I agree for sure.
All this time, and we don't talk about Milan winning 4-1 in this batch. I thought we would have led with that, being Milan supporters.
I blame Cornelius for that, but now Milan, that was by far the best game I thought maybe all season. They struggled to score, and Lecce's not a bad team at all. I mean, they're points-wise, yes, but at home they're good. They can be a pain to play against, and they have against Milan this season already. But this game, Milan really, after we went 1-1, they woke up. It's the first time I've ever seen them react, and they reacted instantly and continue with that, not just give up on that goal and rest on their laurels. They did really well. Pioli did well. The whole team, Rebic got that nice goal from midway. Good performance.
I mean, it was easy because I think all 10 of Lecce's outfield players were in Milan's penalty area.
They were, which is crazy.
I mean,
you never see that unless it's the end of the game, and it's the middle of the game.
Yeah, there's like 33 minutes left, and Liverani's got these guys pressing past the half, past midfield.
Maybe he saw the urgency that if they didn't score another one, it was going to run away.
And you wonder why you're in 18th.
Yeah.
I mean, right? So it's – let me just jump on. I've got my game page on that here. Hold on. Because I'm trying to look at it. I mean, Mancosu scored the penalty. Falco was pretty influential in this game.
Yeah.
I thought Petriccioni was okay.
Yeah.
The back four wasn't. The back four was a total struggle. I mean, Gabriel had to bail them out. Milan had 11 shots on target in this game. So they could have scored. They could have easily scored more than 4. Probably should have scored more than 4. And I don't want to.
What'd you make of Andrea Conti's performance?
Well, he got the assist in the end for Leao.
Yeah.
I thought he was better.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay, I mean, I'm not ready to anoint him as this dominant right fullback yet.
No. He's a shell of his Atalanta self, but this is a much better game by him. He's not a Theo Hernandez or anything, but
sure,
he did well. He was lively in the attacking third. Didn't make too many mistakes defensively, and obviously had the assist to Leao. So. It was a better game for him for sure.
I thought this was an excellent team performance from Milan altogether. Yeah. I thought there's really no one in the starting 11 that you can look at and say, yeah, you were poor.
Yeah. Donnarumma was excellent.
Donnarumma was good. Teo was live. I think Teo had a better first half than he did a second half.
Yeah.
And then I thought Calhanoglu played well.
Yeah.
This might have been one of his better games this season. The midfield duo of Benacer and Kessie continues to improve.
Yes, I agree.
Sitting in front of that back four. And the only shame to all of this was they lose Chiara again. And I think that's long-term. So Gabbia got thrown into it. He's the one that committed the foul and the penalty.
Yeah.
But when you've got Musacchio out for the season, you've got Chiara now out long-term. It's going to be a trial by fire for this kid to be Romagnoli's partner and to be a rock back there. That's
on the
one end, I'm happy to see Milan win and score 4 goals. On the other end, I'm looking at that partnership between Chiara and Romagnoli that was forming, and it was an excellent one. And now questions are going to be asked, and can this kid pull his weight here the rest of the way? If Milan are hoping for a Europa League place, as I think Champions League is just definitely way out of reach. I mean, you look at they're 15 points behind. There's no way they're getting top 4.
No.
But if they want to snatch one of these Europa League places, they're going to have to depend on him to raise his game.
And I think they needed that 3 points, to try to stake a claim in the European fight. So it was a nice 3 points by Milan because this very well could have been a 1-1 game.
Hosting Roma on Sunday.
That's difficult.
Then at Spal, at Lazio, hosting Juve. That's their next 4 games. And then at Napoli, that's their next 5. Ouch.
The last 3 games, my goodness.
Yeah. So it's not out of the question. I mean, while I'm excited about this performance, I'm excited about the 4-1 win. Not out of the question that this Milan team could drop out of 7th.
Yeah.
And maybe end up finishing 8th or 9th. We might have to, as Milan supporters, we're going to have to brace ourselves for that unless they can turn up some performances here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Juve, better.
Yeah.
Not all the way there yet. Bologna had 20 shots in this game. One on target.
Yeah.
One on target.
One on target. That's didn't help.
Yeah. So Bologna is still playing the same way. They just haven't worked on their finishing clearly.
Yeah.
And they don't have any excuses. They had Sansoni, Soriano, and Orsolini. They had Musabero up front. They played a strong team.
Yeah.
Against you. They got Gary Medel back, and Medel was gone on a long-term injury. So they got him marshaling in front of the back four, and I thought he was solid. But you have Ronaldo and being Penaldo and getting his penalty. He's got 22 goals now in the season in Serie A. 8 of them are penalties, and just for everybody that thinks he scores too many penalties, Immobile has 10 of his 27 goals from the spot.
There you
go. When you break that down by percentages, it's pretty much the same clip.
I think as soon as Dybala scored that second goal, it was just locked up shop. You knew it was going to be Juve and not let them back in the game. So
they don't look for third and fourth and fifth goals. They're not fine. And we talked about this last week. It's like, all right, we'll defend. We've got the players to do it. De Ligt is getting stronger as a defender. Speaking of which, if you're listening to our podcast, stick around for afterward because Richard will have an interview with James Rowe, who was the only man in the world to predict that Matthias de Ligt was going to join Juventus.
That's right.
So
we have it on record.
Yep, we do. We have it on record. So, and I dare say it, but this was a good appearance for Bernardeschi and a needed one for him. I mean, the assist for Dybala showed some confidence.
Yes. Yeah.
That because he's a guy that worried you in the Juve colors. And he was a guy that I think we were long clamoring. I said, well, when Douglas Costa is fit, he's the man.
Yeah.
Okay. He's the man in that front three, and you got to get him in there. But Bernardeschi laid a little claim to it with the way he played. Technically very strong, got a nice assist, had a shot hit the woodwork, had a great chance there, created other chances that could have been finished. And did a little bit in the defending and in the pressing and doing a little bit of ball winning too. So I thought this was one of Bernardeschi's best performances in a Juve shirt. Yeah,
and he didn't even score in the game, so that's saying a lot.
Yep.
I thought he did contribute well offensively. He was active all game long. Like you said, he hit the post. Obviously had the assist to Dybala. It was a good game by him. Usually, at times he can disappear from games, and you didn't really see that in this one. I thought he did well for himself, and hopefully, Sarri's going to instill more confidence in him. I mean, obviously he has some confidence because he's playing, fairly regularly. But performances like this, if he can build off of them, he can really end the season very strong and make a good case, going into Euros next year, possibly.
Sure. Fiorentina, 21 shots, 5 on target.
Nothing to show for it.
Nothing to show for it. They had Ribery had a goal disallowed for offside.
He was the best player of the game for me.
He was outstanding. And it's amazing. It's amazing what this 3-month break has done for the old men of this league.
Yeah.
They're all You had Buffon have a big game in the Coppa Italia final. Ribery coming out here running around.
Dzeko was good.
What's that?
I said Dzeko was good. He's not that old, but he's older.
Yep. So these older guys are getting in there and getting it done. They get that little 3-month layoff. They get that little break, and they're right back in there and and playing well. So certainly worth pointing out. And then Napoli again. I mean, defensively very solid. I mean, Verona didn't offer as much this time around as they did against Cagliari. Verona played to try to get a point. Silvestri had 6 saves. This could have been worse. Napoli getting a 2-0 win, Milik, and then to your point, Lozano long in Gattuso's doghouse, getting a needed goal, to make it 2-0, and that was an assist by Fauzi Gulam on a corner kick. So good to see Gulam back out there.
Absolutely.
So for me, I thought, Napoli just clipping along, and I think really just enjoying life right now, enjoying the way things are going, and why not?
Yeah, many thought that Gattuso was not the right hire for Napoli. I'm not going to say I didn't like it either at first, as much as I like Gattuso, but he's got a title now. I feel so good for him. And Napoli's obviously they listen to everything he says. They believe in him. They believe in each other. And this team, you can tell, is growing stronger and stronger each week. And yeah, they're going to make a push for a Champions League. It's going to be awful difficult with the 4 teams in the current spots. I mean, anything can happen, but they're going to make a strong case and make it maybe be a solid fifth team, I think. Napoli is a very good squad, but this year there's too many really good teams ahead of them that they can't catch.
The test for them is going to be if and when Koulibaly leaves, because right now you have a very good functional partnership in the center of that defense between him and Maximovic, and Di Lorenzo can now go back on the right. And we touched on this last week. They look more functional as a back four. They had all those games where Di Lorenzo had to deputize, and he held his own. He wasn't fantastic,
right? But
he's clearly better as a right fullback than he is as a center back, and that's where you want to use him.
Yeah.
So for me, it was good to see. Again, I mean, they've got 3 straight. Ever since they haven't conceded a goal now in 269 minutes of play or whatever it is. I mean, they had that first minute goal they gave up to Eriksson. That was just a complete gaffe.
Yeah.
But other than that, in the run of play, goalkeepers are stepping up and making saves. Maximovic and Koulibaly playing well together. They're getting some good support from the midfield. And that's going to be a foundation because, I mean, what they got going forward, it's not going to be Saudi ball anymore. All right? No. You're departed from that. You're now – but they can win a lot of games playing this way, and with the front 3, whether it's Milik up front or whether they run Mertens as a false 9, there's some flexibility with what they can do going forward, and they can be just as lethal. They're probably not going to score as many goals, but just as dangerous a team to play against with those tactics.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Juve did it for years, right? Just get enough goals and then lock up shop. They got the defense over at Napoli. You got to feel good for Maximovic because he had so much hype, when he first came around. Didn't live up to it, but now he's with Koulibaly. I mean, anybody with Koulibaly is going to do well, right? I think you or I maybe do okay with Koulibaly there next to us. But this Napoli team knows how to play defense now. Under Gattuso, they're very disciplined, and he's got the pieces in place that he maybe didn't have before to really play the kind of defense that he wants. And the 2 goalkeepers that you mentioned, Ospina and Meret, they take their turns, but they both come up big when their number's called. So this team does what they have to do. And they do it well.
Yep, indeed. So those are the first 4 days of games, but it's all about what went down on Wednesday, Richard. Let's start with Inter and Sassuolo. Inter. What's that?
I was like, no, go ahead, keep going.
Okay. Inter, coming back out with Handanovic in goal, Skriniar, Ranocchio, and Bastoni across the back. Moses. Roberto Gagliardini getting a start, Borja Valero, and then Cristiano Beraghi getting a start on the left. Christian Eriksen behind, Romelu Lukaku, and this time Alexis Sanchez. And then Sassuolo making a couple of changes here. Consigli still in goal. It was Muldur on the right, Vlad Kirkez in there with Gianmarco Ferrari, Rogerio on the left, Pedro Obiang and Manganelli in midfield. In front of them, Boga, Filip Juricic, and Domenico Berardi with Francesco Caputo up front. And what a spectacle this game would be. What a performance from both teams. And it opened early, Francesco Caputo. And if he's going to have his hair dyed blonde, he's not my cousin.
But he keeps scoring.
Well, yeah, fine. Good for him. But when he goes back to his natural hair color, he can be my cousin again because we don't do that in our family. So he didn't get the memo. I guess on an assist from Filip Juricic, that made it a 1-0, so a shock lead right away for the visitors. but with how loose they are defending and how fun bad they are, you knew the goals were going to eventually come. Yeah. And then it was a foul in the penalty area. Boga, and I can't remember who it was. He clipped
Skriniar.
Was it Skriniar? Okay. He clipped Skriniar in the penalty area. Just enough for that to be a penalty. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot in it, but they gave it.
It was the crazy part is that it was a forward defending a defender in the offensive end, and so if it was a defender, I think he would have done a lot better at that kind of play to avoid that. Of course, somebody a little bit later we'll talk about couldn't, but it was just enough where I think a penalty was warranted. It wasn't much to it, but it was enough.
And in steps Romelu Lukaku, who finishes and levels it at 1. And just before halftime, Cristiano Biraghi coming through to make it 2-1 to Inter. Now, Alex Dono hates Cristiano Biraghi, and
he gave it to him.
What's that?
It was a nice short-sighted goal.
Yeah, it was.
I liked it.
But I mean, Biraghi at Inter. I mean,
it's not what we thought it was going to be, right? We thought.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. There might be an issue with, I think, from his left wing back position. I think he wants to play a little freer than what Conte wants out of that. So that's why guys like Ashley Young get the minutes, because they're willing to do some of the dirty work and the tackling and the ball winning. And maybe Cristiano Biraghi is just not that player. He wants to just hang out on the left flank. He wants to get a little bit higher, and he wants to just pump in crosses.
Yeah.
And maybe doesn't want to do the rest of it. So, and that could be where you could have some conflict. So, are you surprised that it's been a struggle and that Biraghi has not gotten to what we should expect from him in this setup?
Yes, because we both saw him when he was at Torino. We thought what a great player he was. He'd be a great asset for anybody. But he struggled, and it's got to be the tactics that each of the managers had, specifically Conte. He just, like you said, he doesn't want to adapt to what Conte wants. He wants to do what to stay on the left hand side and pumping crosses, and that's not what Conte wants. And we've seen it time and time again over the years. If you don't do what Conte wants, you're not going to get the pitch time that you deserve.
Right.
And that's probably why he doesn't help, not getting as much pitch time as he normally had. You're going to be very consistent. And it shows this season with him. But getting that goal was good for him, good confidence there. And hopefully Conte can continue to lean on him a little bit more, especially playing every 3 games.
Sure. Just a carbon copy of the Lukaku penalty happened in the second half, just about in the same area too.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was Koldor that was brought down in the penalty area this time, and Domenico Berardi steps up to make it 2-2. Game on, 81st minute, and we were in for a wild ride because just 5 minutes later, a free kick for Inter. Antonio Candreva with a curling ball towards the back post, and Borja Valero.
Bullshit.
Somehow, Sassuolo just decided he's not very good. We can just not mark him. And, he has the easiest of finishes. It's worth noting, though, that prior to this, you could argue that Roberto Gagliardini had an even easier chance than Borja Valero did, and he completely fluffed it.
Yeah, if that was Gagliardini right there at the end of that ball, he would have missed that as well. So, terrible miss. Oh, my goodness.
Yep. So we'll give Valero at least some credit here that he was able to finish that.
To be fair, if he left it alone, Candreva would have scored that goal. It was going in anyway, and all he did was just touch it right at the 1 inch mark and win it.
Sure, fair enough. But it's 3-2, and then just 3 minutes later, Inter can't get out of their own way, and it's Magnani who comes in as a substitute and scores in the 89th minute. And just for good measure, Milan Skriniar gets, fouls the player out of frustration, not realizing that he is on a yellow, gets the second yellow, gets sent off, is going to be suspended for this weekend's match. And who did I say Inter was playing next?
Drawing a blank.
They're playing Parma. So
could be. It's unfortunate for Inter because they got some speedy wingers over there that could really cause them some trouble. And with us Skriniar's intelligence, it's going to be awfully difficult. Potentially
a blood in the water situation for Parma. Something that they're going to have to take advantage of. But this one ends 3-3. You had Roberto Gagliardini with that awful miss. You had Andrea Consigli make 6 saves in this game. And I walk away from this saying, how does Inter not get 3 points here? You want to know how they not get 3 points? Sassuolo's their bogey team. they have an awfully hard time beating them for whatever reason it is. Regardless of form, regardless of where these teams are at and all this other stuff. Sassuolo just took a spanking to Atalanta. Big deal. They're going to snatch a point from Inter anyway because that's what happens.
They are a bogey team for both Milan clubs. It's just something about the Milan water or something that they played so much better. And we said before, we said last podcast, we said they're a bogey team. Watch out for them. It's going to make it difficult for Inter. And sure enough, they did. A crazy ride, like you said, goals back and forth. But I'm not too surprised, and there's not too many people are going to be surprised. I know the most surprised people in the whole bunch is the Inter fans when they saw the lineup, because I know they didn't like. I know a bunch of them were murmuring how they didn't like the lineup pre-game, but you can't be surprised that Sassuolo played as well as they did because they had been doing it previously over the years against Inter and Milan. So good for them. And Consigli, he played poorly the 2 games. Obviously, Atalanta's going to make everyone look poor, but he looked really bad in both games. The Baraghi goal looked like he didn't even try to make a save with his arms. I don't know what he was doing there, but still, Inter should have won that game, and they didn't. But
he still made 6 saves.
He made 6 saves. I know. It's just crazy.
Yeah. David Fonte's here. Ciao, David.
Hey, what's
Presidente,
up?
AC Milan Club Philadelphia.
Poor Inter.
Yeah, poor Inter is right. Dropping points, they can't overcome Sassuolo. David, what did you think about Milan's performance? Happy to see them win and score 4 goals, or grouchy because Simon Kjaer is out for a long time? I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
There are no wrong answers.
Yep, there's no wrong answer to either. So, the next one was the fun one. I'll let you have that.
Yeah. So this was a big game. Atalanta hosting Lazio. A big game because Lazio is 1 point behind Juventus. So prior to coming to this match day, Juve obviously got the win, so they're up 4 points, and Lazio has to win to keep pace. They need to win, but Atalanta are no slouches themselves. This game we thought was going to be a barn burner, and it was to an extent. Maybe didn't get all the goals we thought. It wasn't 6-4, 6-5, but it was a great game nonetheless. Scoring started early. Martin de Roon, unfortunately, he scored for Lazio. Lazio don't need any help, Frank. They can score plenty on their own. Own goal in the 5th minute, 1-0 for Lazio. Just a few minutes later, SMS Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, he's back, man, and what a brilliant goal he scored there from the top of the box. Right-footed shot on the left, just past the goalkeeper's right. 2-0 there, and it looked like Lazio were true in this Scudetto race here, meaning they're there for the victory and they weren't messing around. But it's Atalanta, and we know what Atalanta does. They do Atalanta things. In the 38th minute, the left back, Robin Gosens, he gets the goal, makes it 2-1. And then just before halftime, Ruslan Malinovsky, and this is my pick for goal of the weekend. I mean, he just smashes the ball past the keeper. Nothing Strakosha or any keeper in the world could have done about that. What a rocket of a shot. 2-2 into halftime. Didn't look good there, and coming out of the break, Atalanta continued, attacking Lazio. They had a good amount of possession in the first half. Palomino ended the comeback, and they got the game winner in the 80th minute. Not lovely header there. I mean, a team play by Atalanta after going down 2-0. Not surprised, honestly. I mean, are we surprised? There's no team that can stop them from scoring. I'm thinking the world maybe. So they get an impressive 3-2 victory. I thought maybe it'd be a draw with lots of goals, but I mean they proved their guts, and people thought when they were down 2-0 maybe this outside chance Napoli or somebody could come in and take their Champions League spot, but I don't see it happening. This Atalanta squad is way too good. 3-2 for Atalanta.
I know on the promos on Fox Sports when they're talking about Bayern Munich, and they're like, you hear the commentator saying it's an honor to watch them play. It's an honor to watch Atalanta play. It really is. It's a treat. And they outshot Lazio 24-6 in this game. They had 60% of the possession. I mean, they dominated this game. They could have won by more. It looked like Inzaghi was trying to soak up the pressure, but I mean, Atalanta, you can't give them that kind of possession. They're going to break you down. I don't care who you are. They're going to break you down. But Lazio has done this before, up 2-0 in key games. So
it's not Atalanta.
unfortunately.
They came back on Atalanta in the past, so the game we thought could have ended in a draw, but Atalanta just did enough to get the victory.
Yep. Lazio has had leads in big games before when they're trying to chase something and have capitulated. So, but this Atalanta team looks terrific. I mean, 7 goals from 2 games, from 2 key games, getting all 6 points. I mean, granted, both are home games, and there's a bit of a sentiment really that we want to see them continue to do well and continue to work their way up. I mean, and make sure they continue to lock up this Champions League, go deep into the Champions League this season when it kicks back off again in August. They're already in the last 8.
Yeah.
With everything that happened in Bergamo and how ravaged they got from COVID-19, you just want to see that team, be a symbol of all of that and do well too. So it's certainly very impressive. And boy, Atalanta really just outstanding throughout the week.
Yeah, they absolutely were. David Fontes chiming in and says he's pleasantly surprised, unfortunate about Kiar, but thrilled with Hakan. I agree about that. Deservedly MVP. Happy for him because he usually gets shit on deservedly, and usually by us too. I'm sure the Milan Club Philadelphia does as well. But it was an impressive win by Milan, and obviously Atalanta as well.
Yep. So that is a key win there for Ledea. Lazio.
Big loss.
Do we look at this day as the day that Juve won the title? I mean, now they're 4 points clear.
Yeah, it does look like, doesn't it? Inter capitulate. Lazio do as well. It's now a 4-point gap 4-point gap. It's going to be awfully difficult. It's not over yet. There's so many games left. Anything can happen. But you don't fancy Juventus to lose enough that Lazio can catch them. You would think.
Definitely.
They got to play each other still. And you got to hope that somebody else beats Juventus. And do Atalanta play Juventus still down the stretch?
I think they do, yeah.
So that could be interesting there. So,
Yeah, that's up to Jay. I mean, Atalanta are 12 points behind. It's Atalanta's next game's at Udinese, hosting Napoli on July 2nd.
Oof.
At Cagliari, hosting Samp at Juve.
There it is.
And then hosting Brescia at Verona, hosting Bologna at Milan, at Parma, and then finishing at home against Inter. So up and down, a bit of an up and down run in for them the rest of the way. But I mean, the way they're running and the form that they're in, there's no way they're not top 4.
The game will be interesting for sure. I think back with the title race, if they do if they can do their part, that's a big thing. They're gonna have to win out. Definitely.
And the action wrapped up on Wednesday with Roma taking on Sampdoria. Roma coming out, Mirante getting the start and goal.
Yeah.
Bruno Perez, Chris Smalling, Roger Ibanez, and Alexander Kolarov across the back. Amadou Diawara and Jordan Verretou. You had Carlos Perez, Javier Pastore, and Henrik Mkhitaryan all behind Aiden Dzeko. Sampdoria counters with Audero in goal. Bartosz Berezinski, Maya Yoshida, a guy near and dear to your heart as a Southampton supporter.
Right, yeah.
Lorenzo Tonelli and Tommaso Augello. I haven't heard of these guys. I know Tonelli. Augello I haven't heard of. Fabio De Paoli, Morten Thorsby, Albin Ekdal. Albin Ekdal's got to be like 45 years old right now. He's been in Serie forever. Carol Linetti, Jacob Bianco, and then Manolo Gabbiadini up front. But it was a shock on the cards to open things up. In the 11th minute, it was Manolo Gabbiadini putting one away and getting Sampdoria out in front. In the 32nd minute, a brilliant strike by Jordan Verretou that gets overturned on a very ticky-tack handball call on Carlos Perez.
BS play. A BS ball. His arm was to his side. The ball hit him. What's he going to do? He can't get out of the way. There's no way. I mean, if he cut his arm off, maybe you're not going to get that call, but that was bull. I mean, I'm happy Roma won the game, but that's a BS call right there. And that was a beautiful goal, unfortunately, taken away from Verretou.
I can't remember what Premier League game I watched this week, but where I saw that it had hit a player's hand and they didn't even bother going to VAR. I mean, it was pretty incidental and accidental, and this was the same thing. So
West Bromwich, I don't remember.
I can't remember. But anyway, it would remain 1-0, and It was the 64th minute. Finally, Aiden Dzeko with a goal of the week candidate. Outstanding turn and strike on the left foot. One of the sweeter goals you're going to see.
And that pass was beautiful.
The pass from Lorenzo Pellegrini is having a really nice season with Roma, by the way. It's worth noting. That made it 1-1, and up until then, I mean, Audera was looking like he was on his way to being man of the match because he was doing everything to keep Roma out. But then some of the substitutions, some of the adjustments were being made, and in the 85th minute, Aiden Dzeko takes another one out of the air, this time with his right foot, this time from Brian Cristante, and to make it 2-1, and Roma would get all 3 points. The two finishes from Aiden Dzeko were brilliant, but I think the goalkeepers, both of them, deserve a lot of love here. This was a 2-1 game that you could have broke out the abacus for with the chances that were getting created on both ends. Mirante made 8 saves. Audera made 7 saves. I mean, outstanding performances from them. To keep this a 2-1 scoreline and not have something crazy like a 4-3 or a 5-4.
Yeah, both goalkeepers are really outstanding. I thought Aduro had some poor games, as of recent memory, but this game he really stepped up. He made some big saves on Dzeko and some other guys as well. So and then Mirante as well. We talked about him before how maybe he deserved to be the starting before Pau Lopez came in. And he came in and did what he had to do. He got the start, made some big saves, and really he could be one of the main reasons that they won the game. That him and Dzeko. So
sure. So a key win there for Roma to stay in 5th and really keep some separation from the teams that might be chasing them from a Europa League place, and still put a little bit of pressure on Atalanta. Keeping them honest. So. Reversal of fortune for the capital clubs. Obviously, Lazio having a much more difficult fixture, but in the end, it's Roma getting a win.
Yeah,
trying to make it somewhat of a race for a Champions League position. Still out of there. So let's glance at the table after all of that. Juventus now top at 66 points, and I believe everybody has now played 27 games. It was very creative how they did that, how they built all that in.
Yeah.
So Juventus is on 66 points, Lazio second on 62, Inter third on 58, Atalanta fourth on 54. Those would be your Champions League places. Nothing has changed with the top 4. Roma in 5th on 48, Napoli 42. Nothing's changed there. Milan, nothing's changed there. 39 for them. Parma 39, Verona 38. I think Parma jumped over Verona because they had the 2 games. Or maybe not. Nope. I stand corrected. They were tied on points, and then Parma did jump over them, yes. Cagliari to 10th after that win over Spal on 35. Bologna in 11th on 34. Sassuolo in 12th on 33. Torino on 31, as is Fiorentina on 31. Udinese in 15th on 28 points. Sampdoria on 26. Genoa on 25. Lecce in 18th in the drop zone on 25, and they're on goal difference. Spal, 18 points. Brescia, 17 points. We've got 4 teams in I think it's 4 teams. I think Fiorentina is okay, and Torino is okay. They're each on 31 points. But they better start getting some points.
Yeah.
I really look at the last spot coming down to 4 teams, coming down to Udinese, Sampdoria, Genoa, and Lecce for that last spot. What say you?
It's tough, isn't it? Because you want to see Udinese, they're a perennial Serie A club. The history with them, and you want to see them stay up. Obviously the 2 Genovese clubs, you love to see them stay in Serie A. But Lecce has been a good story too. They got the great kids, great fan base. And you want to see them continue up, but one of these teams has got to go down. And you got to pick your poison, which do it. For me, it's probably going to be Lecce, though they have. It feels like they have more scoring opportunities or scores than the other clubs, but. They can't keep anyone out of the net. That's their problem. And unfortunately, that's not the way to get promoted or stay in the league by giving up goals. So
Lecce's running. They're at Juve on Friday. Big one on Wednesday, the 1st at home against Sampdoria, then at Sassuolo, then hosting Lazio, at Cagliari, hosting Fiorentina, at Genoa. That's July 19th. That could be the one that decides which of those two might stay up if it comes down to those two teams. They're at Udinese as well. So they've got some guys in front of them that they're playing against. They host Fiorentina. So they're playing some teams that are ahead of them that they can snatch some points from. So they've got every opportunity to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So let's see. We've got Bag Full of Toffee joining us. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Never saw Inter game, just highlights. Was watching game of the day. Our mighty 1-0 win at Norwich.
He's an Everton fan, of course.
Attaboy, the worst team in the league. Any outside chance? But you know what? Don Carlo has got back-to-back clean sheets now since coming back. So he's at least got that fixed. Any outside chance Inter had for the Scudetto is now gone? Yes, I agree. Sassuolo certainly has their number. Has the hex on them. So yeah. We touched on this. It might be a 4-point gap right now. Juventus over Lazio. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Juventus is going to win this title.
Yeah, I think too. But I mean, anything can happen. And I'm not going to full out say, yeah, Juve's won a title. It looks like that, but it's not good right now for Inter and specifically Lazio. But
it's still a two-team race now, though, with Inter dropping those points against Sassuolo.
And I think it was even before they dropped those points. They were on 58 points, and they're 4 points behind Lazio. I still think it's a 3-horse race. I still thought it was 2-horse. Inter are too inconsistent to keep up with the top two. They have games where they drop it, and Conte's shown in the past is when he has games every 3 days, he can't do it right. He can't get it right. So they were never a contender for me.
And I think Roma is going to be in Europe. It's a matter of can they find a way to catch Atalanta, and right now I don't think they will.
Right.
So I think that they're kind of sitting in a Europa League purgatory, but they've got to go keep fighting for every point they can get. And then I think the remaining Europa League place realistically at this point involves 4 teams: Napoli, Milan, Parma, and Verona. Now Verona, miss out on losing all 3 points to Napoli at home. But each of those 4 teams, I think, are right in the mix for it. So that's where that's getting interesting. We talked about 4 teams probably for the last relegation spot. I think at this point it's all over for Spal and Brescia too.
Yeah. It's really Lecce's the only team that has a chance to get out. That's only the other 2 are long gone.
Goals of the week. I'll give you mine.
Okay.
In at number 5, I've got Aiden Dzeko, his first goal, the one he took out of the air with his left foot. Brilliantly done. Number 4, I'm going to go with Sergej Milinkovic-Savic's goal against Atalanta. Great finish from distance. Number 3, that banger from Ruslan Malinovsky of Atalanta to get things going for Ledea against Lazio. Number 2, I'm going to go with Paulo Dybala's excellent finish and neat assist there from Federico Bernardeschi. But I love everything about Romelu Lukaku's goal, assisted by Christian Eriksen. Just a brilliant combination play to carve the Sampdoria defense and free Lukaku for that finish. I love that kind of team goal. That's the kind of stuff I like to watch. And that was precision from beginning to end on that move, finishing with Lukaku. So that's my top 5.
Don't really have a top 5, but I'll give you all the goals that I liked. I liked both goals in that game by Inter. I thought both the team goals were excellent, especially that Lukaku one for sure. I like both of Edin Dzeko's goals. The assists were both mouthwatering for me. Pellegrini on the first one, and then Cristante on the second. What else we got? The Atalanta game, obviously Malinovsky. That's goal of the week for me. And then those are probably all the goals that I like. And obviously Dybala. Dybala was a sensational strike. Kulusevski had a nice strike as well. Nice foot shot. So yeah, those are my shots. But Malinovsky is the goal of the week for me.
Perfect. Winners and losers. My winner is Juventus. While Atalanta were mesmerizing to watch in both of their games, when we want to talk about actual results across the board, for me, Juventus is the winner. They get the win against Bologna, and the closest title rivals, Lazio and Inter, each drop points. They now have a gap, and they've been in this situation before. And like I said, when they get into this spot, they're hard to catch. And I think the table may not say that they've got this wrapped up, but I really find it hard to see Lazio catching Juve now. My loser is Spal. that should be the way they played and the way that game went, and you have Calcio coming to your place. That is 3 points that you have to have. You get that, you're on 21, and you make this relegation fight even more interesting. You become a thing in this, and they didn't get that done, and now they're on 18, and it's a long way home with 11 games to go, and I can't find them doing it. I don't think, and on top of that, Luigi Di Biagio is just not going to be the answer to get them out of this. So that's where I'm going for my loser. It's going to be Spal.
Okay. My winners of the week are going to be obviously Kulusevski, Don Cornelius with his hat trick, his tripleta. Also, Napoli, get the win in the Coppa Italia final. They play a very good Hellas Verona's team, and they shut them out. It was a very good game, very strong game by Napoli. So they're my winners of the week. My losers of the week are Lazio and Inter. Any chances that they had of the Scudetto is possibly gone now. They had to win. Lazio had to win. They did not. Not only did they were up 2-0, they blew the game completely. So
yeah,
those are my losers of the week.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I can probably make Lazio an honorable mention for loser of the week as well. So, but no doubt about it. So those were our goals of the week. Those were our winners and losers. Give us yours at Serie Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram. We have a full schedule Friday through Sunday for the next round of matches. So 3 days of Calcio. Here we go again. Friday, it'll be Juve hosting Lecce. 3 games on Saturday. Brescia hosting Genoa. Cagliari hosting Torino. Lazio hosting Fiorentina. Can Lazio bounce back after that disappointing loss at Atalanta? On Sunday, the big one, Milan hosting Roma. Napoli hosting Spal. Sampdoria hosting Bologna. Sassuolo hosting Hellas Verona. Udinese hosting Atalanta. And wrapping it up, another big one, Parma hosting Inter. Clearly, it's Milan, Roma, Parma, Inter are the pick of the week for these. Which one probably more the game of the week? I think it's and I don't want to be biased, but I think it's the Milan Roma game. 1, the brand name on both sides. 2, what's on the line? Milan's pursuing a European place. Roma is trying to get out of Europa purgatory, if you will, and getting 3 points like this could possibly go a long way in their pursuit to maybe nabbing a top 4 spot, although I think it's going to be hard for them.
Right.
So I'm going there just because I think Inter's going to be locked in a Champions League place with really not much else going on. Parma needs that game, obviously, if they're trying to chase Europa League. So I'll just edge the Milan-Roma game as the game of the week, just over Parma and Inter.
That's a good shout because the way Milan played this past week, or just the other day, they look very good, and you got to like those chances of them continuing that, especially against Roma. It's going to be a big game, two big name clubs. But I'm going to go obviously with the other game, Parma Inter. I think it's going to be without Skriniar in the back there. It's going to give more room for Kulusevski and Gervinho to operate behind the back line. Could be another big day for Don Cornelius. And I think because of that, Inter are not going to let that happen and try to get goals themselves. And we might see, another 3-2 kind of game in that one. The Milan game, it seems going to be low scoring for me, maybe 2-1, but likely like a 1-1 type deal. But I think there's going to be a lot of goals in that Parma game. And for that reason, it's going to be the goal of the game of the week. But for every reason you said, I do like that Milan-Roma game. I'm definitely going to have eyes on that one.
I think that Brescia-Genoa game is huge as well, especially for Genoa. I mean, this has to be 3 points for them. If not, you're square in the middle of this thing. Yeah. So let's see how they come out, and let's see how they take care of business. Fiorentina, this could get a little sticky for them if they don't get something at Lazio. I think Lazio will get that done, but I think it'll be closer than everybody thinks. So I'll just go down the line. Juve, I think, will win at home against Lecce. Yeah. I think it'll be another typical 2-0. Get in there, get your 2-0, get your 2 goals, keep them out, get out. Brescia, Genoa, I will go with. Wow. Yeah. Well, after watching Genoa today, the other day,
you would have had them as favorites, but now you're like, don't.
Because there's enough with Brescia to still make this interesting. I'm going to go with the draw there.
Okay.
1-1. So Genoa will have a point over Lecce after that. Cagliari hosting Torino. I think that Cagliari gets a little bit back on track here. They did get the win at Spal. Torino slugged out a draw against Parma, got a goal against Udinese. Probably should have done a little bit better than they did given the talent that they have. But I'll go with, going to Sardinia being a difficult task for Torino, and I'll go with Cagliari winning 2-1 there. Lazio, I'll go with a 2-1 win over Fiorentina. Milan-Roma, wow. I'm chickening out. I'm going to go draw 1-1.
I felt it in you.
Yeah. Napoli, just like the way they're running right now, and I think they're going to get another clean sheet on Spal. I'm going to go 3-0 for Napoli on this one. Sampdoria and Bologna. I think this game could be very entertaining. I think there will be goals in this one. I'm going to go 2-2.
Oh.
Sassuolo and Verona. I am going to go. I'm going to go 2-1 to. This is a tough one. This is actually going to be a good game. But I think Verona is a little better at home than they are away, and I think Sassuolo play well there at the Mapei. I'm going to go 2-1 to Sassuolo. I'd love to see 5. I want 5 goals from Sassuolo just because I just want to hear tub thumping.
But it's Verona,
as much as they possibly can. Udinese, Atalanta. It's Udinese at the Friuli. It's Atalanta away, which, okay, fine, but I'm going to go 3-1 to Atalanta there. And Parma, Inter. Wow, that's another tight one. I think that they will miss Skriniar. How big can Sepe be in this game? I think that's going to be key. He's been fantastic all season. I think you're going to see great goalkeeping in this game from both goalkeepers. But in the end, I'm going to only give Inter the 2-1 win.
Okay.
So those are my scores.
Those are all good shots. I think that game's going to be probably like a 2-2. At least, yeah, I think 2-2 in that game. But I like all your shots for most of these games. So, the only other flip I'll do is I think Hellas is going to win 2-1 against Sassuolo.
Okay, so you'll go with.
Yeah.
I'll just kind of say Verona a hangover after the loss to Napoli.
Sure. Yeah.
And now having to go to the Mapei. Sassuolo may be getting a little energized after getting a draw at Inter. Kind of seeing that dynamic going on. So we'll see what happens. You never know. And with all of that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. All recaps all the time, baby. That's what we did this week. I mean, you had to pound out 14 games. So shameless plug time, Richard.
Shameless plug. Yeah, I want to thank, obviously, James Rowe for coming on to do the interview with me. You'll hear that on the podcast when we release that. Great interview. We talked about, the Netherlands. We talked about him being the only person to pick the Ligt to come to Juventus, and the rest of the world was saying he was going to either one of the big Spanish clubs or England. We got it on record on Serie A Sit Down from, in the summertime. So kudos to him. And we talked about some players that potentially could come to Serie A, a lot of youngsters. And we visited an old friend, Ricardo Rodriguez, who's now at PSV. So shout out to James Rowe. Give him a follow. He's part of the World Football Index as well. Does fantastic interviews. Recently did with Jamie Carragher, Kevin Campbell, and some others. So definitely shout out to him. And then, you can follow me anywhere really at R_KHARMAN.
Awesome. I'm at FTC_21 on Twitter. Serie A Sit Down. You can go to at Serie A Sit Down on Twitter. Follow us there. Follow us on Instagram at Serie A Sit Down. Check out our Facebook page, Serie A Sit Down. Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. We are on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. Just about anywhere you can hear a podcast, you're going to find Serie A Sit Down. So check us out on all of those. The YouTube page, of which if you're watching us, we want to thank you for watching us. But check us out there. Check out the videos, subscribe, drop a like. Just recently, we did do a snippet from last week's recording talking about Juventus, talking about the concern with the lack of finishing, with the lack of production and attack. They did get 2 against Bologna, so maybe they're on the right track now. We'll see. But who knows? You never know from week to week. www.worldfootballi.com, I believe, is the website for World Football Index. Is that right, Richard?
I think it's just worldfootballindex.com.
Okay.
On Twitter is definitely World Football Eye.
I mean, just content from around the world. Any league you want to listen to a podcast on, want to have covered, they've got it. So do check that website out and check everything out. As Richard said once before, if you don't like Serie A, there's plenty of other there's plenty of other stuff being covered on World Football Index.
That's right.
I don't know why you would say that on the Serie A pod. I still am scratching my head to this day.
Now you know what we call this podcast now.
It's been 2 years, and I'm still not letting it go.
Don't forget.
People don't forget. So anyway, I want to thank you all for checking us out here on YouTube. I want to thank you for listening to the podcast. And for Richard, I'm Frank. Stick around for the interview with James Rowe. But until then, keep telling your paisans about us. Ciao.